Israel says around 400 targets have been hit across western and central Iran in a day. The country's energy minister says targets including oil refineries and power stations were on the table. Meanwhile, Iran's semi-official Fars news agency reports that Israeli jets have targeted oil depots in Tehran, as well as the nearby city of Karaj. To discuss further, we're joined by Miri, retired Israeli Defense Forces colonel. Good morning to you. Let me start off by asking you how you would characterize the military success so far of these joint U.S.-Israeli operations.
The action itself that has been taken jointly by the United States and Israel is against a variety of targets all over Iran. Success number one is that there's absolute air superiority. Jumana, that's not a little thing. It means that the U.S. and Israeli air capabilities can pretty much attack the different targets all over Iran. They've been targeting the missiles, the depots, the arsenals, and of course the different aspects of the Islamic regime at the heart of Tehran and around. Until now, very, when I say successful, that's never nice and it's never happy. This is a war, but it's targeting those different targets, going after those different capabilities. And of course, Iran still has a lot of capabilities that they've been building for the last 45 years to use.
Can I just ask you how the labor is being divided between the U.S. and the IDF at this point?
It's a joint operation. I mean, the extent to what we can talk about it in that sense is what you do is you divide, if I could call it that way, the airspace above Iran into different areas. The United States has been very focused on what you were talking about before, which is the whole aspect of the closing of the Persian Gulf, of the Hormuz Strait, which means they've been going after both the Navy and the different sites that I would call are more in southern Iran, southeastern Iran, the ones that are closer to the Persian Gulf. Israel has been very focused on the missiles and on the targets of the Islamic regime itself. That's Tehran, that's to the north. So I'd say that Israel is active more in the north and in the west, and the United States more in the south and in the east. But at the end, it's a coordinated joint attack, which means that they're constantly talking to each other.
And yet yesterday, the IDF hit fuel depots in Tehran, and there have been multiple reports overnight suggesting that the U.S. were not convinced that this is the right course of action. The Senator Lindsey Graham going one step further, urging Israel to be cautious about targets, saying our goal is to liberate Iranian people in a fashion that does not cripple their chance to start a new and better life. Talk to us about exactly what Israel's goal here and whether it wants to fully dismantle state infrastructure or actually give the Iranian people a chance for a future.
To be able to give the Iranian people a chance for the future, you need to dismantle the Islamic regime's capability, and you can do so up to a point from this air superiority. You and I both understand that that's not something that you can do from above. The people have to do that from below. When it comes to the targeting itself, you know what, Jumana, the way I'm going to put it is that I'm going to separate the military absolute joint coordination, acting together, looking at all these different targets, and between the rhetoric at the end, it's both, midterms in the United States. It's an election year inside Israel. So I'm going to separate what the leaders say and what the military does in their actions. The Islamic regime have attacked all of the different Gulf states, as you were talking about before. They've been targeting all of the different types of infrastructure, of oil, of gas, of desalination, and those countries did absolutely nothing, were not participating, did nothing. And I think that in that case here, it's to point out also to the Islamic regime that they don't have free reign. This is not about they're doing whatever they want. And I think also in the fact that we need to show that when they do these kind of attacks, they are going to get that in return. The specific oil depots were the ones that are used by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, by the Air Force. It was the ones that were tapped in for them. It's not the ones that were for general use. And that would be true of all the different type of targets. It doesn't make it any easier, not for the people in Tehran, not for the Iranian people, but that's going to be part of the targeting. Anything that's the Islamic regime that empowers them, that gives them that strength, those are the targets that needs to be hit, that need to be there, to weaken them, to help the Iranian people.
Is it your assessment that political objectives are being achieved? I mean, we've spoken about your characterization of how the military operations are going, but politically, Iran continued to be defiant, and they've appointed a new supreme leader who's essentially a continuity candidate from the prior supreme leader. How successful have these operations been so far politically?
So in that sense, in attacking the different targets themselves, it does go in stages, and nothing is something that immediately happens. What we're looking at right now is a weakening, a diminishing, and that's important that the Iranian people themselves can see that. Jumana, it isn't that they're now all going to stand up and overthrow it. The hold of that Islamic regime is very strong. I think that in the victory that I'm looking at in that political aim is that the Islamic regime will not be focused in its top priority on nuclear, missiles, proxies, the annihilation of Israel, but perhaps on their own people, on building a country. And if that's with an Islamic way, that's their choice. But right now, their top priorities for over 40 years has been about building the proxies, the missiles, the nuclear, and the annihilation of Israel. And I do think that there is a change in that sense in what they're going to be able to do no matter what afterwards because of these attacks, because of the diminishing of their strength.
Miri, retired Israeli Defense Forces colonel, thank you so much for joining the show today.